not have anyone before you.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Sheila Mannix. I live at 1118 RFD, Long Grove. That's District 20, and my representative is Mr. Stolman. Again, I am the co-founder of a lawful volunteer nonprofit organization, Illinois Family Court Accountability Advocates, created to stop the corruption in the family courts in Illinois that is hurting the children of Illinois families. I emailed every board member and then made a public comment to you on September 11, 2007, about a matter that's significantly harming the residents of Lake County and is exposing Lake County to extreme liability, namely verifiable public corruption, specifically alleged corruption between the Lake County Court, Lake County State's Attorney's Office, and the Lake County Sheriff's Office. Right after I spoke to you on 9/11, Mr. Stolman informed me, right before I spoke to you on 9/11, Mr. Stolman informed me that the Lake County State's Attorney's Office and County Administrator allegedly instructed all of you to not meet with me. After I spoke with you, I followed up with all of you by email the latter part of September and again in December. Not one of you has contacted me. My heart is heavy that to date no leaders have emerged on this board. I am especially saddened by the inaction of board member Ann Main, who knows my younger son, who was on her son's soccer team until his life was ripped out from underneath his feet on October 31st, 2005 by the documented, irrefutable, unlawful acts of Lake County officials in the Sheriff's Office, State's Attorney's Office, and a Lake County judge. Curiously, 2 of the involved officials are now gone. The unlawful acts involved the refusal to enforce a order of protection as well as felony obstructing justice, for which I understand there's a 3-year statute of limitations that has not yet expired. Therefore, the unlawful act of refusing to enforce Illinois law for 2 abused children and their abused mom continues to this very day with your complicity. Last July, board member Robert Sabanjian, a Democrat, urgently took action in a case involving a former Republican public official and alleged pedophile involved with child pornography, but he has not contacted me. Why? Because for the Lake County Board, it's not about protecting abused kids, it's about politics on the taxpayer's tab. You have been informed since 9/11/07 that we have concrete material evidence of hundreds of Lake County children and their innocent parents being hurt by public corruption, and no one on this board has contacted me. Why? Because an alleged perpetrator involved with the documented unlawful acts allegedly told you to not meet with me, thereby successfully stopping you from educating yourselves with the concrete material evidence that could indict the alleged perpetrator? Respectfully, I offer a simple cognitive behavioral therapeutic technique. Watch the movie The Patriot with Mel Gibson. Consider that you are acting like the loyalist who betrayed his neighbors. Then take responsibility for yourselves and decide what role you will play in this new year. And in the meantime, I will continue to obey my moral and civil duty as a resident of Lake County and citizen of the United States by continuing to lawfully exercise my constitutional and civil rights, especially my federally protected rights to equal access to justice and freedom from abuse, and my First Amendment right to association on behalf of the suffering children of Lake County, Illinois, and our country. And I will continue to pray for you that leaders will emerge on this board in this new year. One never knows where one will find a patriot. I found one in the mirror. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on any item not on the agenda? Yes. I need your sheet.
I have 2 minutes, like 4.5 minutes. I tried.
3 minute, it's a 3-minute rule. Okay.
My name is Deb Durbin. My address is 61 Cumberland Drive, Lincolnshire. That's District 21, represented by Ann Main. It was here last September 11th during your authorization of $80,000 for a new case management system for court services that we all heard Chairwoman Susie Schmidt state, Lake County judges incarcerate as a last resort. I bristled at that remark and stand here this morning to inform you of my personal experience of being falsely incarcerated by Judge Michael Fritz in small claims court in February 2006 while my divorce was being adjudicated for the previous 29 months since September 2003. In marriage, I was a wealthy suburban Montessori mom. Before and during this marital chapter, I was a responsible taxpayer with excellent credit and who timely paid her bills and debts. Less than 2 months before our divorce trial, I was wrongfully jailed for 3 days for contempt because of an inability to pay an $800 doctor's bill for my son and me that by law had to be heard in the divorce proceedings. For your information, debtor's prison was considered medieval and was outlawed in the 1800s. Divorce judge Diane Winter had ignored my need for temporary maintenance throughout our divorce that spanned 3 years, regardless that I was a stay-at-home mom, while she allowed my income-producing husband uninterrupted access to our marital assets, even though he also had access to substantial non-marital monies. These and other unlawful acts at the pen of Judge Diane Winter continue unabated to this very day. On February 8, 2006, having gained clearance to the courthouse by passing through the metal detection arbor at the public entrance, I hastened to the small claims court for a citation to discover assets. Not only could I pay the doctor, I couldn't afford an attorney to represent me in the matter. In our 10 years of marriage, I'd never seen a single paycheck of my husband's, and I had little to no knowledge of our finances. I was completely ignorant of our assets. So before court, I wrote an affidavit for a citation to discover assets to explain how I couldn't comply with Judge Fritz's court order due to our pending dissolution of marriage, in which previous attorneys hadn't done financial discovery. So imagine how confused I was when Judge Fritz refused to file stamp my affidavit, ruled me in contempt of court, ordered me to post bond in the amount of $15,000, and further issued a body attachment and a prison sentence. So just moments after my arrival to Judge Fritz's courtroom, I was being strip searched. Can you imagine the degradation, the humiliation that I felt during that painful experience? Judge Fritz violated multiple Illinois statutes when he ruled to immediately incarcerate, namely my right to attorney representation prior to incarceration and the rule to transfer a marital debt to divorce court. Such illegal practices by a judge cannot be construed a last resort, but rather a first response. In the 2 years previous to my wrongful incarceration, I'd been challenging the court about the fact that my ex-husband had earned not one, but 2 warrants for his arrest, one for domestic battery and a second for criminal child sexual abuse, and he was never jailed, nor was he prosecuted for the latter offense by our Lake County State's attorneys. The Lake County Jail furthered my abuse by refusing my right to make telephone calls within a reasonable time after arrival at the first place of custody. I got to make 2 telephone calls before 11 p.m. that night, more than 12 hours after my unexpected incarceration. They also denied me needed prescription medication. The ladies in prison holding who'd been there before advised me to read the rules manual once I got to my cell, but curiously I noticed that at check-in I didn't get one. And when I asked for one, I still wasn't granted the standard issue. In the middle of a sleepless night, a guard gave me hers, and from my prison cot, I wrote 3 grievances and penciled a revocation of judgment. Those documents may have been behind the charges against me being dropped. 3 days later, a deputy ushered me from the Lake County Jail to the small claims court. My wrists were handcuffed to a wide, ringed leather body belt, and my bare ankles were being bitten by the steel shackles. He seemed disgusted with my criminalized appearance, and he questioned his co-worker about me going to small claims court looking like that. She answered, "That's the way Judge Fritz likes him." Months later, when I court-watched in felony court, I observed that a convicted Lake County rapist was being better treated than I had been in small claims court. And I have since been denied employment for answering affirmatively the customary question on a job application, "Have you ever been incarcerated?" These are basic human rights offenses that are being committed under the color of law on the taxpayers tab here in the County of Lake. We need a task force convened for an investigation to examine our court records, files, and the hundreds of others with such improprieties. Please, please help us stop these crimes. Thank you.
Thank you.